Sometimes I forget recording it. Cool. Yeah, so this is the part where we did. Now, as we were saying that, let's just compare it to regular projects as if you are in a college or university, right? If you are working on a presentation project, you create a project and make changes to the project and save the changes and share the changes with other team members. How do you share the changes? It's probably like if you're not using a cloud, you just share it over the email, right? You just send an email to everybody, and then everybody will get the same copy. Okay. And then once one of the users make changes, they will send a copy, and everybody will get the updated copy, right? And then you can replace your existing copy or just rename it with a new name. Okay. So the idea behind the Git is we're trying to share our code to other team members, right? The location doesn't matter, whether they can be in Japan or USA or Russia, wherever they are located, they should be able to share their code. And the best way to share the code is using version control system. And one of the best version control systems out there in the market is GitHub. Git, right? GitHub is the hosting website where we host our projects or repositories. Git is the software that we install on our machine, and we should be able to run Git commands in our computers locally. Okay, so this is the representation of the real world scenario that does not include Git, but regular projects. But this is okay. But this one is what we need to work on. Okay, so we'll try to learn different ways to create our Git repositories and work on our projects. Okay, first of all, we need to create a repository, whether it's locally or two options. Okay, whether we can create our repositories locally, and or we can create our repositories in the remote GitHub website and then clone our repository. Okay, so create a repository, make changes to the repository, commit the changes, and share the changes with other team members. It's not going to be over the email, right? We're not going to send an email to every single team member, but we will utilize with this tool called Git and the hosting website called GitHub. Cool. So now let's try to learn how can we create a Git repo first. Okay, so this guy right here. So the first option, as you guys can see right here, option 1 represents this guy right here, this block. Option 2 is what we have over here. Any questions? I think someone tried to ask a question. Okay, cool. So the first option would be locally initialize a repo. But before we initialize, we have to create a project name. Okay, so this is local. I'm working locally on my machine, and I need to create a project name, just like we did over here. Okay, mkdir, and we went inside the say tech, blah, blah, blah. And basically, we are inside test folder, and then we're running the git init inside our test folder. So git init is our first option. Locally initialize a repo means git init. Right? Git init is our command to initialize our Git repository locally. Let's try to do that. Okay, so I'm going to go down here. I'm going to say open. So let me go down to 24/7 cohort docs. And I'm going to open, create a new Yeah, let me create a new folder. Let me just call it, say, tech2. All right, say tech2 and open it. Now I use my tech2. So open the terminal, control tilde, right? Control tilde. And this is my terminal. So if I do pwd, I'm inside 24/7 cohort docs saytech2. So the first thing was, let me check if this is my Git repository. What was the command to check if the current folder is a Git repository or not? Git status, right? Git status is the command to check if the current folder is a Git repository or not. As we can tell from the output command, right? Command output, not a Git repository. So how can I convert my Git repository? How can I convert my regular folder into a Git repository? So most of the time, what you guys need to do is that you will have your project over here, index.html, style.css, and script.js files. Okay, just sitting in there on your local computer. But in order to share that project with other users, we have to make sure that that folder is converted into a Git repo. Okay, so what I'm going to do over here, let's just create a couple files. Let me just do it over here. Touch index.html, right? Just refresh our memory with the command line tools. CLI commands. Okay, let's just create touch another style.css file, which will be created over here. So now I would like to copy these guys over here. Let me file new window. I'd like to bring it over here. I apologize for running around. This guy. All right, so let me fill it up index.html. This is one of the projects that you guys already worked during class. And let me fill it up this style.css. Okay, you guys already worked with here on this project. So as we said, that is clear our terminal, and we have two files, and this folder is not Git repo. Okay, this folder is not Git repo. So the first option was create a Git repository, initialize. Git init is our command. Right over here at the corner, we don't have any branch names. As soon as I start git init, initialized empty Git repository in users, blah, blah, blah. That's the full path to my .git folder, okay? So as soon as I run the command, the git command, right, this git tool is creating that git folder under this, inside this folder. Okay, so ls-l will not show that git folder, but if I say ls-la will show me the hidden files too, the hidden folders and files in my current folder. So now if I say git status again, now we can tell that my folder right here is a Git repository. All right, and then now Git tool, the version control system tool, is tracking every single change that is happening inside this folder. And we can also tell from here, right here. If you click right here, we have two files. The changes, it says changes, and we added two files. Okay, and then we also added the contents. This green highlighted is what we added as a content into these files.
Azamat, can you please show how, if we do git init, how to remove it, how to go back?
Oh, so to remove it, so ls-la, right? We just have to remove this guy right here. Now this guy is a folder because it starts with a D, right? These guys are starting with dash. These are files. So this .git is not empty folder, right? ls -l. If I say that git, it has something inside, right? It has something inside. So it's not inside empty folder. So to remove it, rm, right? rm remove -rf, right? Or -r. rf is f is for forcefully, -r is recursively, right? Just go inside and delete the child of the folder, the child and child of the folders, right? That's what it says recursively. And then we just say .git. Now it will remove. So see, it removed right here. It's not Git repository anymore. Okay, so this saytech is not the Git repository anymore. So how do I confirm that? Git status. So if you end up running git init in your desktop, and you will see like 10,000s of changes over here, then just delete that git folder on that folder, right? It's a hidden folder. So you just need to delete it. It happens a lot of time. Okay, you end up running the git init command where you were not supposed to run it, and you will have a lot of changes to commit. So just remove that git folder and you should be fine. All right, let's just bring it back. Git init again, initialized. Yep, we're good to go. Okay, so let's go back again. So locally initialize a repo. Okay, we did this part right here. Now create a new repo in GitHub repo hosting website. Okay, so currently we run only step one. That's step one. Now we need to confirm if my local repository is somehow linked to any type of remote repository. Now remote repository is happening over here, guys. I hope you guys were able to create did you guys create a GitHub repo? Sorry, GitHub account?
Yes.
Cool. So that was the that was the prerequisites for the bootcamp, right? Installing Node.js, opening up GitHub account and Replit account, right? So I hope you guys have GitHub account. If you don't have it, just go to the github.com and sign up to the website. So now this is in the internet. This is this is a website that hosts our repositories, and all of the repositories are hosted over here. Okay. So this is our local machine computer, and this is a remote GitHub website. And now let's create a new repo in GitHub repo hosting website. Now, before we create this guy right here, let's confirm if I have anything linked, right? If I have anything linked, if my local repository is linked to any remote GitHub repository. The command for that is git remote-v. Right? Just run git remote-v. So right over here, we'll say git remote-v. So as a result, I don't get anything. There's no output, which means that this repository, right? This repository is not linked to any remote repository. There is no link. There's no link in between them. I don't have any remote repository connected to this local repository. Okay, so now let's try to create a new repo in GitHub repo hosting website. To do that, just come to your repositories, okay? And the overview doesn't, yeah, you have to come to repositories over here, the tab, and click new. Okay, and just put the repository name, for instance, say tech2 repo, right? Say tech2 repo is available. Now we can select this name. You can also change public or private. If you do private, so if someone else goes to my repository, they will not be able to see this repo. If I do public, now if you guys go to my repositories, you should be able to see this tech2 repo. Okay, you should be able to see that. So you just put the tech2 repo just leave other things as default. Or you can also write description over here. What is this repo for? And write some small comment about the project. That's it. So as soon as we click new, we just put the repository name and we click create the repository. Okay, here's the part that it wants us to run in our computer. Okay, so what it says is that create a new repository on the command line, right? It says create a new repository. We don't have to create a new repository. Okay, what we need to do is we did this part already. That's the only part we did. Okay, we edit index.html and style.css files, and the only thing we ran was git init command. All right, git init command.
I have a question.
Yes.
When I created a repository on GitHub, it shows that the branch is main, but when I git init from VS Code, it's showing the master branch. And when I'm trying to git checkout main, is not switching to main.
Yes, because you're missing a command right over here. The GitHub is automatically telling us what to do if you have a master branch. So if you have a master branch, when you do git init locally, you need to run this command first, right? Git branch -M main. That will convert your master branch into main branch. And this command doesn't only work for main branches. Okay, if you are somehow ended up being in a completely different feature branch or any type of different branch other than master or main branch, you can still run this command to change the name of the existing branch that you are in.
And that should be done before I commit and push the code, right?
That is correct, yes.
But what happens if I accidentally push my code to master branch and then I'm working in the main branch? For example, the README file is on main, and but I accidentally pushed from to the master branch. How can I combine them?
That's a good question. So as when you push your changes with the master branch, but you still have the copies on your computer, right? You still have the copies, and you can still change the name to main and then push that changes as a main.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because since your local machine will always contain the updated commits, updated changes, so now you can push those changes with different branch names.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure. All right, cool. So right over here, this is the command that we can connect, that we can link up our locally created Git repo with the remote Git repo. Okay, so we can link up right now. Okay, we'll just link these two with each other. Now we created locally and we also created the remotely. Now we have to link each other. We still can run this command right away. Right, this is the command that will link them each other. Now we just copy this guy right here and come down to our terminal again, right? So we can just paste it over here. Git remote at origin and link to the repo. Link to the repo. All right. So let's run this command. All right. There was some change. Okay. Now, in order to confirm, we need to run this command again. right? As you guys remember from the last class, we have a history command. And if I would like to run this last command right here, okay, you just type exclamation sign and 1123, right? Exclamation sign and 1123 is the number of the command, and it will run that command for me. So now, as I can see, git remote -v is telling me that my current local repo is now connected to a remote repo. All right, so now we do have connection between locally and remotely created repo. So now as every time we make some changes over here, now we can push that changes over here to the remote repository. All right, so we missed a couple steps over here, which we need to take care first before we push our changes, right? So the first we did locally, this one, and now we have to make sure that we save our changes, okay? We have to make sure that we made the changes to the repository, and we have to commit the changes. All right, we have to commit the changes and share the changes with other team members. Now, committing is basically saving and writing, so adding it and writing a commit message. And sharing the changes is git push. Okay, so git init, we did it already, and git add readme. So let's go back and check our git status again. What kind of changes do we have? As it says, we have untracked files, okay, index.html and the style.css, which we created, both of them brand new, and they have contents inside them. Okay, so now saving the changes, saving and committing the changes in Git goes by git add first. Okay, git add, meaning is that we can add these guys over here to the staging area. Let me go back to my slide over here. I'm sorry, I'm jumping from one slide to another, but this will explain us a little bit clearly. Okay, so all right, here we go. So we did git init over here, right? We initialized our Git repository, and Git is tracking every changes on this folder. And now we have to do git add. What git add does is that it puts to the staging area, right? The staging area is like putting all the changes in order before we actually save it, to the repository. Okay, so putting every changes in a staging area, and then when we commit it, we basically save those changes into our local repository, and then when we push it, it goes to the GitHub. Okay, it goes to the GitHub. Now, we did create a new repository, and we did git add remote origin, blah, 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 and we did git remote -v. Now it is showing us that we have connected our local repository with remote repository. Cool. All right, so let's go back here. As we said, we have two file changed untracked files. Now we have to put them into staging area before we commit. Okay, so git add, two options in git add. We can either add files and folders one at a time. Okay, we can either add files and folders like git add index.html and come back git add style.css one at a time. If you have multiple files, you can add them one at a time with this git add command. That's not feasible approach though, right? I mean, it's going to take a lot of time to add one at a time. If you have like 20 or 30 files, you have to type this command 20 or 30 times. We have another command called git add with the dot. All right, this dot will add all of these changes into the staging area. Whether you have 20 files or 30 files, it will add all of them to the staging area. Now let's add one at a time. Let's see what kind of changes we'll see. Now, if I say git add index.html and git status again, now as you guys can see, index.html was untracked files. Now, as soon as I do git add index.html, I'm putting this new file into the staging area, right? And now this part is ready to be committed, ready to be saved into the local repository, and then we can ship it out to remote GitHub repository. Whatever we have as a green, it's good to be committed, right? But we still have untracked files over here. Okay, so as it says right here, guys, use git rm cached file name to unstage it. We can take out whatever we put into our staging area, we can take it out and put it back to untracked files. All right, let's run the command git rm right here. And then it says dash dash cache, and then put the file name, basically index.html. Right? It removed from the staging area. And now if I do git status again, it is back to untracked files. It is still untracked. Now we were adding files one at a time like this, but another option was dot. Okay, dot is equal to writing git add dash dash all. You can either run git add dot, or you can also run git add dash dash all. It is exactly the same command. Dash dash all is the longer version. This dot is shorter version. Now, if I click again and git status again, now both of them are added to the staging area and they're good to be shipped out. Now git add will put those changes into the staging area, and when we run git commit, it will save to the local repository. Now this local repository basically is our Git repo. Okay, this is our Git repository. So changes to be committed. We did add those, and if you have master, as we said, git branch -m main will change your master branch into main branch. Now we need to commit the changes. The command for it is git commit. All right, and -m is for the message, the comment. The comment is like, what did you do with this change? We can just put a comment over here. Edit index and style files. Edit index and style files to the repo. Anything you can write over here. Any type of message that represents your actions towards this project. Whatever you did, you can put it over here. Okay, git commit -m edit index and style files to the repo. All right, this is my git commit. This is my first commit. 2 files changed and the 309 insertions, meaning that every line, right? Every line will be counted. Like how many lines of code is added into this with this commit. Okay, with this commit. So now, as per the instructions, we did this part right here, and we did this part right here, git commit -m, m for message, and we did run our first commit. And we don't have to run this one right here because I already have main branch. And at the same time, we already have ran this guy right here. And we confirmed that with git remote -v will tell us if our local repository is linked up with the remote repository. Okay, so this last command is the command we will what it does is that it will take our changes from our local machine and put those changes into the remote repository, basically over here. Now, if I press the refresh, okay, it's still showing this page right here because we did not push any changes from our local machine to remote repository. Okay, we did not push any changes. Cool. Let's do that. Always run git status to check what's the status on your branch, right? Whether you have some changes or whether you have some commits you made. Right now, git status is not showing anything because I already committed all of my changes. Nothing to commit, working tree is clean. You can also check that over here if you have any changes over here. Okay, if you have any changes, this right here will tell you if you have any changes. This is basically the button version of git status. All right. So as it was telling us, git push -u origin main. Now, what is this origin? This origin is referring. I'm not running this command yet. I'm going to press Control-C to cancel it. Okay, I didn't run it yet. Right. This origin is representing us the origin that we connected. Git remote -v. Right over here, as you guys can see, that's the name of the remote repository. It basically tells us that we're putting kind of like a nickname for our remote repository. And we're telling push the changes, okay? Push the changes to this origin right over here. And in that origin, push it to the main branch. Push it to the main branch. Now, what I can do over here is that you guys remember this command right here, right? Git remote at origin, blah, blah, blah. Now, I can also change this name instead of origin, okay? Another origin, okay? Git remote at another origin and put the repo name. So now if I see git remote -v, I have another origin. It's sorted alphabetical order, okay? I have another origin. This one will be used for fetching and pushing, blah, blah, blah. Basically, both of them are same. And I have origin, okay? If I would like to push some changes to another origin, I can run git push -u another origin main. Okay, it will go to this one and main branch. If I would like to run some changes to the origin over here, these reports doesn't have to be the same exact repos. And of course, it doesn't make any sense to have exact same URL for different origin names, right? It doesn't make any sense. But sometimes your one local repository can be connected to two different remote repositories. Okay, can be connected to two different remote repositories. In that case, you have to make sure that you are pushing to the correct repository. Okay, just pushing to the correct repository. So now git push -u another origin main. All right. So we don't want that, definitely. We don't want that. Okay, my git remote v, I have two repos, two remote repos that my local repository is connected. So right over here, how can I remove this one right here? That was just a fake one. So this git remote add will add our remote URL. We have another command called git remote remove. Right? Instead of add, we'll just need to remove it. Git remote rm another origin. Okay, git remote rm will remove whatever we have, link it over here. So now if I go back and git remote -v, I only have one of them. All right, it's time to push our changes to the remote repository. It is time to push our changes to the remote repository.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
What is the purpose of another origin?
So as I was saying, sometimes you will work in one project, okay, and then put those changes to one origin, for instance, origin 1, all right?
Yeah.
And then the same project, but a little bit tiny differences, right? A little bit tiny changes in the same project. You would like to push it to another origin. In that case, you have to put different URL. Okay. In that case, you have to put a different URL. So one of the projects that we worked previously was the backend project for our cohort. Okay, and we had different teams in different teams in the cohort, but the same project. Now we had to make sure that we can push the same project for different teams with the different settings in that project. Okay, for team 1, we had to change some settings for the same project for team 1 and then push to one URL. And we did come back to the same project. We did a little bit tweaks for team 2 and push it to different URL. Team 3 with different URL. So for that reason, we had to add the different origins and we had to push to different origins so that every single different team can get their changes accordingly.
Okay, so basically, another origin could be like a photocopy of the origin that we can put some changes, and at the end of the project, does it all need to go into one origin, or it would be just?
No, so let me sketch it right now. Right, so we create. So right over here. Oh no. You need a pencil. Right. So right over here, I have local. Right. This is my local repo that I created. Yeah. And then in GitHub, I have a URL, repository URL for team 1.
Okay.
And another team 2. Okay. And etc. Okay. We have different teams. And now with this local, I made some changes that belongs to team 1 only. All right. And then edit their origin URL into my local repository. And now I am connected to team 1. Right. And now I had to come back when I'm pushing my changes to team 2. I had to make some changes team T2 accordingly. Okay. And add the origin and then push those changes to different URL that belongs to team 2. Right. But my original repo is exact same, but it has the different origins connected to different repositories. Now this situation might be that you guys will be using rarely, but just keep in mind that instead of creating the exact same copy of local repo, right, locally, and then connecting to T2 like this, I'm still this exact same copy, okay? Instead of like this copy contains only team 2, and this copy contains only team 1. Instead of doing that, we can work and make the changes on the same repository, but we can still connect different URLs to the same repository. Okay, with the git remote add command, we can add different origins, different URLs that they link to different GitHub repositories in the remote hosting website. So this situation you guys will be using rarely, but just keep in mind that at some point, if you have to use it, like to work on the same project locally, if you have to push the changes to different URL, then you can just add that origin URL and then push that changes. Okay. Cool. So we do have this guy is connected and we still haven't pushed anything yet. Because if I refresh the page, it's not showing anything yet because we haven't pushed any changes yet. So let's push the changes. Now keep in mind, guys, this command right here, git push -u origin that represents this origin, right? Origin main. In this URL, create main. Basically, right over here, we don't have any main. We don't have anything related to the main branch. Okay. We want to make sure that this, whatever we're pushing it, creates the main branch and keeps track of it. Okay. This command right here, you will be running only one time, this part right here. If this one is your first commit, you have to run this command. All right. In the next different pushes, you only have to run this guy right here, git push. That's it. But when you are committing the first commit and when you are pushing the changes in the first time, you have to make sure that this -u origin main comes along. What it tells us is that it will basically connect this local remote origin main, and it will keep track of that changes. That's going to be our initial command. Okay, so if I do git push, what happens now? All right, it is still running the command, right? But when you guys working on projects, always run with -u origin main. It will set up a track origin main, okay? And then in the next consecutive pushes, you guys can do git push, right? If you had different origins over here, and if you try to git push, Git cannot tell which origin you would like to push. All right, Git cannot tell which origin you would like to push, and it will give you a message like which one do you would like to push, and you have to specify which one you would like to push. So now if I come back over here, if I refresh the page, now as you guys can see, I do have main branch over here, right? Default branch, and I do have index.html and style CSS transferred over to remote repository. Basically, these copies are sent over to remote GitHub website. Okay, let's go back. Now, if I click index.html, every single code that I wrote is over here. Style.css over here. That is our first option. The first option is create locally and create remotely and just link with each other. Let's take a look at the second option. The second option is actually much easier. The second option is actually much easier. All right. So for the second option, we don't have to create a new repository. We can clone existing repository that we have in our GitHub repository pool. Sorry, let me go back over here. Repositories. I can just all right. So let's go back over here. This one right here. I would like to clone this one. Okay, so this is my existing project at this point. This is my existing project in my GitHub repository. I would like to clone it. So to do that, we come over here, click this green button, and get this URL over here. All right, just go to your GitHub account. And if you were just following along, just go to your repository first, and then click code, and then click this guy, copy URL to clipboard. It did copy the URL. All right, let me go back to my terminal over here. pwd. Okay, pwd. So now, I would like to go back to 24/7 cohort docs, which is cd dot dot, right? It will take me back to the parent folder, and I can clone this URL that I copied anywhere I want. I can clone this anywhere I want. There's only 2 steps. For the cloning, there's only 2 steps. You can clone existing repository into your local repository. And this is probably the fastest way. Okay. I'm inside my 24/7 cohort docs. Okay. So it's not a Git repo. Doesn't have to be, because remember, guys, don't create a GitHub repository inside another GitHub repository. It doesn't make any sense. If you have a GitHub repository already, right over here, if you have a GitHub repository locally, don't create another GitHub repository inside. It doesn't make any sense, because this parent GitHub repository is already tracking whatever the changes over here. Right? So you don't need this guy right here. Whatever we have changes inside this parent GitHub repository, it will track everything that is going on inside it. All right. So now the situation, what we have over here is that the situation is what we have over here is that this rectangle is my SATEC cohort docs. Okay, this rectangle is my SATEC cohort docs. And this guy right here SATEC2 folder, which is what? A GitHub repository. All right. So what I would like to do is come back to 24/7 over here, right? I will be cloning this project from remote repository. I will be cloning this project right over here to the let's not clone this over here, because we're going to have a exact same name. Okay, let's not clone over there. We don't want to have exact same name. What I would like to do is right inside over here, mkdir testing 1. And if I do ls, I have 3 folders, SATEC, SATEC2, and testing 1. And if I would like to go inside testing 1 now, I'm inside testing 1. And right over here, I can clone my remote repository. What we can do here is git clone. Git clone is the command. That's the only command you need, with the URL, of course. Oh my goodness. What did I do? Oh. Git clone, and I have to get the code, of course. Copy this URL, come back, and paste it over here. Cloning into SATEC2 repo. Right? I'm inside my testing 1, and now I cloned my SATEC2 repo inside my testing 1. Okay, so this repository is exactly same as the one that I have inside SATEC2. Okay, so now I can go inside code SATEC repo to open up in a new window. As you guys can tell, this SATEC2 repo is what I have cloned. When you clone it, when you clone existing repository locally, it will have everything for you guys. You don't have to run git init command. You don't have to run git add blah blah blah. Whatever we have in the remote, it will just get the copy. As you guys can see, I have a main branch over here, and the git remote -v will tell me it is already connected. I don't have to run like git add remote origin blah blah blah. Okay, when you clone it, it will have everything for you to ready to be ready to go, basically. All right. So the first option was create local repo, create remote repo, and link them with each other. The second option is just clone the existing repo from our GitHub website. All right, just clone the existing repo from our GitHub website. So once you do that, okay, once you guys do like option 1 or option 2, it doesn't matter which you guys prefer. All right, most of the time you end up working locally. Right, locally, if you have a project, you have to initialize that project first, git init, and then create GitHub remote repository, and then link them with each other. Most of the time, because you may not have existing repo available to clone it. Okay, that's why you guys will have a lot of projects locally that you guys will be working on as a team, and you just need to get in it and link it with the remote repository. Okay, so those are the two options. But of course, as I was saying, cloning is the fastest way, which you guys will eliminate a lot of processes, right? Initializing, connecting to local and remote repositories, basically committing those changes, etc. Okay. Now, when you clone it, right? When you clone it, this cloning also has all of the logs. What I mean is that if someone committed the changes into this repository, you should be able to see those changes over here. Okay, you should be able to see those changes over here. Okay, so now this one right here. Let me close the terminal and open up a new one. I set my CTIC too. Okay, so this one we created locally. Let me go back to my slide over here. All right. We know that git status, it will list which files are staged, which files are unstaged and untracked. This is our command to display the entire commit history. Git log will tell us what are our commits in our current repository. And git log -- one line display commits in one line. Okay, display commit in one line. Let's go back over here. So now, as we were saying that this is the first option we created. Oh, sorry. This is the first option. Sorry about that. This is the first repository that we created with the first option. So if I say git log, as you guys can see right here, I have only one commit because initially I added 2 files, okay, and then push those changes to the remote repository. And as you guys can tell right here, author. This author is what you guys have set up initially. What you guys have set up initially, right? So git config user.name, git config user.email is what you have set up over here. And date and time when this commit has happened. And this is the message that we put into our commit. Added index and style files to the repo. Now, this guy right here is the cloned one. When you clone it, as I was saying, that it will bring all of the commits, all of the changes with this repository. So now in the cloned repository, if I say git log, as you guys can see, exact same commits that I have in my local repository, and this one is a cloned one. All right. So another way to see the logs was -- one line. All right. This is the long version, and this will tell us the shorter version. All right. It is just, this is our commit hash. Commit hash. It's a unique ID for each commit. And this -- one line is taking the first 7 characters out of this commit, right? Or out of this hash, and putting it over here. And it's just putting the commit message. That's it. It's not telling us who committed these changes. Git log -- one line to see our changes and commits. Let's make a very quick change over here. All right, I would like to add script.js file. Okay, let me just add something over here. All right. So I added script.js file and simple message down there. So if I do git status again, right? The another way was over here, right? As you guys can know, git status will tell us what did we change, script.js. Now I can type git add and -- all, as I said, exact same thing as git add dot, right? So in this case, I'm just running the git add -- all. Now it's good to go. If I say git status again, changes to be committed. These are my changes to be committed. Now, do I have anything in my git log? No, there's only one message because I have not committed these changes yet. Right? So to commit the changes is git commit -m edit script file. Right? Script.js file. It's up to you what kind of commit message you would like to write. It's up to you guys. Git commit -m edit script.js file. All right, I committed my changes. I don't have any changes yet, okay, anymore. I committed my changes. Now, if I would like to go back again and see my git log, the longer version, as you guys can see, this is my latest version. Then, excuse me, it goes from bottom to top. Okay, this is my oldest version, oldest commit, and this is my latest commit. Okay, so this head is telling me that my latest commit is this guy right here, and this is my old commits. Now, if you like to see it in a single line, -- one line will tell us both commits in a single line. Remember, guys, every time you make change, you have to add those changes to the staging area and then commit those changes. Right? Every time you add some changes, you have to sorry, I'm having blank over here. You have to add those changes to the staging area and commit those changes. How about you guys? You guys can definitely clone this guy right here, which I'm going to share over here. Zoom chat. Okay, clone this guy. Clone this URL to your local machine. Basically, the command is git clone. Of course, git is.
For that, we need to open a new folder, right?
Yes, I mean, whatever you would like to clone it, make sure you clone it in the right spot in the.
Okay.
Wherever you are saving your bootcamp related files and folders. Okay, so, but don't put it inside another GitHub repository. Don't clone it inside another GitHub repository. All right, any questions, guys? Any questions? Okay, how about we take 10 minutes break and we'll come back and we'll continue.
Yes.
Okay, guys, let's keep on going. So we have two commits, and let me check git status now. And it says git push to publish your local commits. All right. So my local repository has more changes than my remote repository. Okay, they're not in sync. They are not in sync yet. When they will be in sync, whenever I run git push command, right? Whenever I run git push command, they will be in sync. Now I do have script.js file over here in this repo, but if I go back to my, let me bring this guy over here. If I go back to my repo over here and refresh the page, I still don't have script.js file, right? Because I have not pushed my latest changes from my local repository into this remote repository. So let's do that. So it says, it basically telling us to run git push command. Git push. Now everything that we have as a change was sent out to Zatec2 repo. All right, so if I do git status over here, nothing to commit, working tree is clean. Now my local repo is in sync with my remote repo. So if I come back over here again and then refresh the page, now I do have script.js file. Okay, so my local and remote are in sync. Okay, so this one was pointing exactly the same repo as I cloned this guy right here, right? So this one is my cloned version. Okay, this one is my cloned version. Git remote -v was telling me that they are pointing to the exact same repo in remotely, right? But it doesn't have a script.js file. How can I get my script.js file over here? All right, so let's understand the sketching right now. What's happening over here is that, as we said, we have Zatec2, right? Zatec2. And this is the cloned version of Zatec, okay? Zatec2 clone, right? Zatec2. But they're pointing exact same repo in a remote repository to Zatec2, right? They're pointing to the exact same repo. Now, these guys are in sync, original, right? These guys are in sync. Both of them have script.js file. But this guy doesn't have script.js file. How do I get changes from remote to my local? How do I make sure that my cloned repository is in sync with my remote repository? The command for that is just git pull. Not this one, sorry, over here, right? We don't have script.js file. The command to get the changes from remote is git pull command. As you guys can see right here, script.js file came over here, and fast forward, it says fast forward, it's bringing all the changes from the remote repository to local repository. So if I say git log --1 line, I should be able to see edit script.js commit from my the other change. Okay, so that commit was pushed from this repo, and we got that change over more remote repository, and now we pulling those changes from remote repository to the cloned repository. All right, so how it works is that you are sitting over here working in a project, and anybody else, all other team members are connected to the same project. All right, connected to the same project. Now, you made some changes and you pushed your changes to the remote repository, but remote repository has updated version, right? Some changes in the remote repository, but all of these developers, they don't have that change. What they need to do is run git pull command to pull the changes, to get the latest changes from the remote repository.
Azamat, I cloned the project and the repository that you sent, and I'm trying to pull the changes, but it says title not a Git repository.
All right, do you mind sharing your screen? Let's take a look. I think
Okay.
there's a connection issue with your local and remote. Let's take a look, please.
So I went to that repository that I
Yeah,
was able to clone. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is that you are inside the clone folder. You're not inside the CTEC2 repo. See, in order to run this git pull command, you have to be inside the repository. You are not inside the repository right now. So can you do ls-l?
Shell.
So now you have to go inside this repository.
Okay. Clone CTEC2.
Just click tab. So now right here it says main. You see
Okay.
that? Now you are inside the repository. You can do git pull. All right, we have the script.js file.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. So you guys have to be inside the repository to run these commands.
I see. Yeah.
Okay.
If I make changes and then I commit and push, will you be able to see it?
The thing about is that, yeah, the thing about we'll come to that point, okay? Let me mention one thing about it. So
Okay.
you guys clone this repository, okay? But you guys are not authorized to push any changes to this remote repository. Why? Because you are not added as a collaborator. Okay, you guys are not added as a collaborator to this repository. Right? How about someone tries to push? Can you share your screen, Janar, one more time, and let's see if you can try to push some changes. Yeah, just type anything inside the index.html or something like that. Yeah, just go to index.html and okay, so anything, yes, just put anything. Yeah, that should work. Yeah, just change margin to 5 pixel or 10 pixel, something like that. Yeah, you have to make them attached to each other. Yeah, margin 10 pixel has to be attached. Yeah, cool. Save it. Now git status. We have some untracked changes. Now we need to add, it said already, right? Use git add to update what will be committed. Yes, git add dot, yep. Now all of the changes are staged. Git commit, space actually, git commit -m space. It has to be space. Yeah, before the double quote, yeah, before the double quote, it has to be space. Yep. And then you can type anything. Yeah, just type small changes or set margin. Yep. Cool. Yep. Now our commit is put. Now try to push it now. See, remote permission to my repository denied to you, right? That is Janar 2024 is your GitHub username. Okay, unable to access. Right. So, yeah, thank you so much, Janar. I can take from here. This is what you get. This is what you guys will get it. If you try to push your changes to someone else's repository, GitHub will not allow you that. Okay. So the problem is that in this repository, you guys are not allowed to push some changes. What I can do here is that I can add you guys as a collaborator. Right? You guys need to go to Satek repo, any repo, right? And then come down here, settings. And then right over here, we have access collaborators. Okay. I'm going to use password. Okay. Let me type the password. Cool. Well, as soon as you click collaborators, you should see this screen. Okay. Who has access? It's a public repository. We know that. And 0 collaborators have access to this repository. Only you can contribute to this repository. Right? Only I can, as an owner of this repository, can contribute to this repository. But everybody else can see this repository. Right? Now you can add people. They can make some changes locally and push their changes over here. So right now, I would like to add Janar 2024. Is right here, right?
Yeah, yes, that's me.
Yep, add Janar. Now Janar will get an email. Okay, whatever she wrote when she was signing up, she will get an email and she needs to accept the invitation. Right? It says pending invitation, pending invite. As soon as she accepts it, when I refresh the page, it should say collaborator.
Okay, I accepted.
Cool. All right, it says collaborator, right? Janar, now let's see if you can push that change you made locally to style.css. In style.css, you change it margin to 10 pixel.
Yes. So I just instead of repeating, I just try git push again, right?
That is correct, yes. The only command you run is git push.
Okay. Yes, I was able to push it.
Yep. Now, if I refresh the page, as you guys can see right here, 10 pixel. Since I added Janar into this repository as a collaborator, she's able to push some changes. This is how you guys work in your projects together. All right. This is how you guys work in your projects together. So one of your team members can be as a team lead, right? She or he can create a local repository, right? And then create a remote repository. And then they can, he or she can link up these repositories, right? Push the changes to remote. And anyone else that the team member, okay, team member has to be added as a collaborator to this remote repository. This is local. That was generated by the team lead, right? Index HTML style.css. I did, okay, so I'm recording it, okay. In this index HTML style.css and script.js files, okay? And then push the changes to remote. And from here, anyone else can clone it, right? But before they can push it, right over here in the remote repository, you guys need to go to the settings and collaborators, and add individual users into list of collaborators. They will receive an email and they need to accept the invitation. Once they do that, as soon as they make some changes over here in the code, they can push that changes to the remote repository, right? All right, let's see, this guy made some change, this developer, right? This developer made some changes and push the code. Now, before you push your code, other team members, they need to pull the code first, right? Anytime you start your project, guys, first pull the changes from the remote repository. Pull the changes from the remote repository. Like every morning, if you are working on a project, every morning, just do git pull first, right? Just do git pull first. Okay, as soon as you in the morning, just do git pull first, so that you will have latest changes from the remote repository. Now you will not know which developer pushed it when. Okay, it's really hard to tell which developer pushed what kind of changes and when they pushed. Well, of course, in the team chats, they will tell that, okay, I do have this repository is good to go. Please review this, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then they can merge the changes to the remote repository. I mean, they can push the changes to the remote repository. From there, you guys have to pull the changes, right? And if this guy made some changes and push the changes, every single one of you has to pull it again. Every single one of you has to pull it again, so that you guys will have the latest code changes in the remote repository. All right. Don't forget to add individual team members into the repository through the settings in your GitHub repo. Cool. Let's keep on going. All right. Up until now, we've been working only in the main branch, right? This is a little bit old PowerPoint slide, which still says that it's a master branch. No, it's a main branch, right? So right over here, we have, to see a list of branches, we can use git branch command. Git branch command will tell us these are the branches that we have, and this star is showing us which branch we are in. You can also tell right here that we are inside main branch. Okay, so git branch is the command to show all of the branches. Now, if I have different branches, how can I go inside different branches, right? So before we go in, since we don't have any branches, other branches, we need to learn how can we create a new branch? Okay, so we have two options to create a new branch. The first option is, let me just write option 1 and Control C. The first option is run git branch, new branch. Okay, new branch name, new branch 1. That's the branch name. Okay, new branch. And let's go inside the branch. Git checkout. Git checkout, new branch 1. This is my option 1. And there's the 2 commands to run it. Okay. Option 2 is combination of combining these 2 commands into one single command. And that's going to be git checkout -b new branch 1. Okay. Instead of running these 2 commands, we can run one command. And what will this do is it will create a new branch 1, and it will go inside that branch. Okay, it will go inside that branch. So now let's do that. Switch it to new branch 1. All right, so if I do git branch again, which will list us the branches in our local repository, right? I have main branch and new branch 1. And this star, as I said, will tell us which branch we are inside. Okay, which branch we are inside. We are inside new branch 1. Now, if I would like to go back to main branch, git checkout main. All right. So the fact that in our script that the style.css, the margin is still 0, right? The git is telling me that the style.css is behind my remote. Okay, because Janar pushed some changes into the remote, and I didn't get those changes from the remote. So what I need to do right here, it says that your branch is behind origin main, which is remote main, right? By 1 commit, and can be fast forwarded. Use git pull to update your local branch. This is what I was telling you guys. Before you make any changes locally, first git pull, right? First git pull before you start working on your tasks. Git pull will get the latest changes. As you guys can see, 0, change it to 10px. Okay, 0, change it to 10px. I don't have anything to commit. All right, git branch. I'm still in my git branch right here, main branch. All right. So as I was saying that we have 2 options to create our branches. Let's try option 1. Git branch. We have only 2 branches. Git branch, new branch 2. Okay. Now if I do git branch, I created new branch, but I'm not inside my new branch. So to go inside, it's always the same command, git checkout. Git branch 2. Switch it to branch, new branch 2. Now, why do we need these branches? Why do we need these branches? Most of the time, you guys will be creating these branches if you are working on a new feature, or if you are fixing a bug related to your application. Remember this. This was one of my interview questions. The question is, why do you create new branches? All right? Why do you create new branches? We create new branches when we work on a new feature, or when we try to resolve or solve a bug. Okay, when we try to fix a bug, or when we are working on a new feature, we create branches. That's the purpose of creating new branches. And another reason is that we don't want to mess up with this main branch. Okay, we don't want to mess up with this main branch. We would like to create a new branch. Creating a new branch is basically creating a copy of the main branch. All right, creating a copy of the main branch, and you can work on that feature branch or new branch, and you can test your code, and if it is good to go, then you can merge your changes back to the main branch. Okay, this is how it works. All right, this is how it works. Now let's see. I am inside my new branch 2. Okay, I'm inside my new branch 2. Now this padding right here, I would like to change to 5 pixels. I saved it. Okay, I saved it, and git status. It says I modified this style.css. I'm still inside my new branch 2. Just pay attention right here, right? So the same process continues as we make some changes. Git add, git commit, All right, git commit, modified padding. Okay, now if I say git log --1 line, it should tell me modified padding. Right, it is telling me modified padding. Now if I say git status, nothing to commit, working tree is clean in my current branch. Now if I go back to my main branch, git checkout main. Okay, now if I do git log --1 line, do I have anything related to the padding? No. As you guys can see, padding is still 0. Padding is still 0. Right? And I don't have set padding over here. I have the last commit message is from Janar, which is set margin. Okay, so basically what it tells is that what is it telling is that when we create a branch, look, this is my main branch, right? It's still going. So this is the starting point with the initial commit. This starting point contains initial commit. Now I made some changes over here, and Janar made some changes over here, right? Again, now our main branch is still continuous. These are commits. All of these dots are commits. Now, right over here, when I had this commit in my main branch, I created a new branch. Okay, I created a new branch. Basically, exact same copy of this branch. Okay, this is exact same copy of this main branch. This is my main branch, and this is my new branch. I created a new branch. So in the new branch, I made some changes, right? I changed the padding. I changed the padding over here, and it continues over here. But my main branch is not aware of this change. Okay, is not aware. So I made, if I continue to make some changes and commit the changes, right? Which can be done every single time you make changes and commit the changes. Now, when the time comes and you try to merge back to the main branch to get all of these commits back to the main branch, we can definitely do that. We can merge those changes back to the main branch. All right, but we're not at that point yet. We're just trying to learn how to create branches. Okay, we're just learning how to create branches now. So git branch is the command to list out all the branches, existing branches, right? And if you would like to work in a new feature, we can switch back to the new branch or new branch 1 or 2 and continue working on our task that was assigned by our team. Okay, when the time comes, then we can merge our changes from any branch back to the main branch. But that is a little bit different process. We have to make sure that we don't merge the changes locally. We have to merge them in the remote repository, right? We will come to that point. But just keep in mind that we can create branches and switch to the branches with these commands. All right. So this one was the first option, and this one was the second option. With a single command, we can create a branch and check go inside that branch. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead, please.
So Azamat, if you're working on a new feature, you create a new branch, and whenever you push your code, it goes to that branch, right? But when you pull the code in the morning, it pulls from the main branch, right? Any changes.
That is correct. So the life cycle for the new branches is that once you finished working with your branch, right? Once you finished working with your branch, let me go over here. Once you finished working with the branch, as I was saying that, okay, we don't merge our new branch, new feature into our local main branch, right? The process is that we have to go to the remote, right? From here, from the new branch, we can do git push. Okay, git push will create in the remote repository, it will create a branch called new branch, right? Next to main branch, it will create a new branch. Now, from the new branch, you guys can create a pull request. It's called PR, pull request. Now, what pull request does is that when you create a pull request, I need to show you the process first, right? I gotta show the process first, you guys. So let's go back again. All right. Before I show you the process, like a practice process, as I was saying that when you push your changes from the new branch, it is not still in the main branch. You just push your changes to the remote, and when you run the command git push, it will create a new branch in the remote. And from the new branch, you will create a pull request, and that pull request, if it gets approved, right? Every single person in your team needs to review it, or only team leads can review it. And if the code is good to go, is a valid code, then it can be merged to the remote main branch. This code can be merged to the remote main branch, right? Now, this remote main branch contains the latest code. So when you come back to your local branch, you can run git pull now, and this will pull the latest changes from remote main branch, right? Once the code inside the new branch is merged to the remote main branch, you don't need this new branch anymore locally. You don't need it because you already merged your code to the main branch, and then you pull those changes to the local main branch, right? That's how it works. We never work in the main branch. We never work unless it is your personal project. But if you join the company, you always, as soon as you clone your main repository, right, the project repository, you have to create a new branch right away. You have to create a new feature branch right away, and you need to work on that feature branch, okay? You need to work on that feature branch, and then push that changes to the remote and create a PR. And if the PR goes good, is approved, you can merge it to main branch and can pull those changes again to the local main branch and continue working on that the process. That's how the cycle goes, right? That's how the cycle goes, guys. We have main branch. We never make any changes in the main branch, right? We always create a new branches. We always create a new branches. All right. So what we did over here is that we created new branch 1 and new branch 2. Now which branch am I? All right, so as I was saying is that I made some changes in new branch 2, right? So git checkout new branch 2. As you guys can see, I have padding 5 pixels. Did I commit the changes? Yes, modified padding. Okay, modified padding. All right. Git push is the command that will push the changes from here to the remote repository. Now, what kind of remote repository, sorry, what kind of branch is creating in the remote? As you guys can see right here, new branch will be tied to the new branch in the remote repository, right? New branch locally set up to track origin new branch. Okay, so initially in my repository, I only had main branch right over here. I only had main branch. Okay, so now if I go back over here, now if I check over here, I have main branch and new branch 2. I have main branch and new branch 2. Git push command was able to create that branch remotely over here. Okay, it was able to create that new branch 2 over here. So now, as you guys can tell right here, new branch 2 had recent pushes 42 seconds ago. This is what I was trying to tell you guys. Compare and pull request. Once you push the changes to the remote repository, Right, I thought that my camera is on, but yeah. Once you push your changes from local feature branch or the bug fix branch, when you come over to GitHub, it will tell you what to do. This is what you guys need to create. So click it, compare and pull request. All right. The title is that a title, modified padding, and you can add additional descriptions. Okay. I change it padding from 0 to 5 pixel in the style.css file. Okay. You guys can write some descriptions to the comment. Right? Once you do that, this is what the changes took place. It was 0 initially, and this is what I changed it to. So now we can say create pull request. The GitHub goes from its process over here, okay? And if everything is good to go, then as you guys can see, require approval from specific reviews before merging. We can add some rules to this repository. All right, that's for another lesson. We can add some rules. Right? Why do we need some rules? The fact that if you don't add some rules, okay, if you don't add some rules, I lost the track. Okay, it's over here. If you don't add some rules over here, then your team members can push their changes into the main branch, in the remote main branch, and they can just merge their pull request. All right, we should not do that. When you join the company, usually there is a rule. When you push some changes to the new branch, okay, and you click compare and create pull request, then every single one of your team members or one or two team members or your manager or your team lead should be will be set as an approver. If they don't approve your pull request, you cannot merge your code into the main branch. All right, you cannot merge your code. So now, as you guys can see, this guy right here, username, wants to merge one commit into main from new branch 2. Right? So as you guys see, my new branch is over here. This is where I changed the padding. I did not merge it directly to my local main branch. We should not do that. We never do that. We never merge or we never make some changes to the main branch, and we never push from main branch to main branch. All right. When you join the company, you will never push from main branch to main branch directly. You will always go through the branch route. You need to always create a feature branch and push that branch to the remote. And from the remote, you need to create a PR, pull request, and then you have to make sure that your team members review that pull request and merge it to the main branch if everything is good to go. Okay, so now I can merge pull request. Most of the time, the reviewers will say, looks good, please merge. Okay, looks good, please merge. This is what they write. If your code looks good, they will, of course, look at your code. And if your code looks good, they will say, looks good, please merge. And now we can merge your code. Click the merge, confirm merge. All right, pull request successfully merged and closed. All right, you're all set. You are all set. The new branch 2 branch can be safely deleted. Right, you can definitely delete your remote branch, new branch. So now if I go back to my main repo and check the style.css, right? I'm inside my main repo. Style.css has padding 5 pixels. Okay, 5 pixels. So now my remote main repo has some changes, but my local repo does not have that changes yet. Right? My local repo does not have that changes yet. So come back over here. Git branch. Oops, Git branch. I'm still inside my new branch. I would like to go back to my main branch. Git checkout main. All right. So as you guys can see, style.css does not contain the 5 pixel change. As my Git is very smart that it's telling me what to do, right? It's basically automatically detecting what kind of changes, like if there's any change in my remote, or if my remote or local are in sync or not. So now it says that it's not in sync. Now we have to run git pull command. Okay, git pull was able to bring my changes over to my main branch. All right. So now, as I was saying, that my main branch and new branch have the latest changes. They're in sync. So I'm done with this new feature branch. I can delete this. I don't need it anymore. All right. In order to delete some branches, these are the commands. Delete a merged branch. Right, git branch -d, and the branch name is the command to delete a merged branch. Merged meaning is that the changes already merged to the remote repository. Now it is safe to delete it. Okay, it is safe to delete locally. This is the command. If your branch somehow is not merged, this is the error that you will see in your branch. It says the branch new B is not fully merged. If you are sure you want to delete, then you can run this command. Right? This is the command to delete a branch, whether it is merged or not. Basically, this -d is what we have in you guys remember this command, right? rm-rf is the forcefully. F is for forcefully, and -d is definitely will delete the branch, whether it is merged or not. All right, let's try this command. So as I was saying, I would like to delete this new branch too. I just copy the name and git branch -d will delete the branch. Deleted branch, new branch, blah, blah, blah. If I say git branch, my git branch, new branch 2 is gone. I don't have it anymore. Why do we delete the branches? At some point, if you work with a lot of features and if you fix a lot of bugs, there will be a lot of branches piled up in your memory right here. Okay, at some point, you have to just delete the ones that you don't need it anymore, because all the codes in those branches are merged into the main branch already. All right. So this is the process that has to be, guys. Remember, when you are working in your projects, from the main branch, always create feature branch, and git push will create a new branch. In that new branch name, in the remote branch, and you can compare and create a pull request, and you can let your team members to review that code change. If everything looks good, they can approve it. Okay, they can approve it, and they can approve it, and you should be able to merge your changes to the main branch. Okay.
Question.
Janar, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
How about we try that over here? I think you made some changes over here, right?
I just set the margin to 10 pixels. That was the
Commits.
only
Let
change.
me see the commits. So right here, yes, you are in here. So how about you create a new branch in your locally out of main branch? First of all, you need to pull the latest changes from main branch.
Yes, I did so. I went
Okay.
to main branch and I pulled did git pull.
All right. So run the command git branch. Just create a new branches. Okay. So git checkout -b, feature 1, feature 2. You can name it anything you want.
Okay. I have a question about naming the branches. Should we name them by the feature that we are implementing, or the bug that we're?
Yep. You have to name them by the feature, or just like you said, or fixing a bug. Okay. So if you are fixing a bug, just name it like fix styling issue, etc. Okay, it has to be descriptive. It has to be good naming. Just don't put like feature 1, feature 2, or bug fix 1, bug fix 2. Most of the time we end up doing that, but most of the companies prefer you having descriptive names, like meaningful names for your feature branch or bug fix branch. Okay, but for now, yeah, you can just put the feature 1, feature 2 for testing purposes.
Yes. So I created new branch 1, 2, and I checked out new branch 1, 2.
Uh-huh.
What do I do next?
Yeah, so would you like to share it, please?
Oh,
Real quick.
sure.
Cool. So now you are inside new branch 1, 2. Yes. You are already checked that. Yep. So just make any change, like a very small change.
Mm,
Just change the grid gap like 15 pixels in line 8.
okay.
Save the file.
Save it.
Yep, save it. And the process continues, guys. You save the file and you run the git add command, right? And the git commit command. The process continues. The cycle continues just like that. Git commit.
Mm,
Grid gap change. Cool. All right. So now git push. Okay. So the current branch, new branch 1, 2 has no upstream branch. This is what I was trying to tell you guys, right? When you first inside the main branch, we have to run git push -u origin main, or if you are inside the new branch, we have to run this command. So that's the longer version. If you can type, Janar, git
yes.
push, right? Git push. Instead of typing the long version like dash dash set upstream, we can type -u. -u is the shorter version. And now origin, space origin, new branch 1, 2. Space new branch 1, 2. Yep, enter.
Okay.
Cool. So now if you go back to the repo that I have, do you have it open over here?
Should I? Where should I go? GitHub?
Yes, go to the GitHub. I shared the link in a Zoom chat. Yeah.
Uh,
So the person who created the branch has to click pull request, right? Compare and create pull request, right? The person who created the new branch or new feature branch has to click compare and pull request right here. As you
okay.
can see, yep, compare and pull request. Right? You can write some description over there if you would like to. It's up to you.
Um, and this will automatically go to all the collaborators, right? So I don't need to manually check them.
No, it basically goes. There has to be a rule over here, right? We'll try to set up later, but when we put the rule, unfortunately, I'm looking at the rule right now. Okay, so restrict creations, restrict updates, restrict deletions, require linear history, require deployments to succeed, require signed commits. All right, that's fine. So I'm coming back to the pull request over here, leave it, right? Grid gap change, I see that pull request and I say, everything looks good. Everything looks good. Okay, and the comment, right? You should be able to see my comment over here now. You see that? Everything looks
Yes.
good.
Mhm.
Good to merge. You can click merge pull request and confirm merge. Cool. So now your code is merged, right? It's
So I
merged.
can delete it.
Yeah, you can delete it over here. Yep. You can definitely delete it over there. All right. So now we can go back. You can go back to, yep. Now type, go back, check out the main branch. You are inside new branch 12. Now git checkout main. All right. Cool. So now we should do git pull. Somehow it is not telling us that there was some changes in. All right, cool. So we can open git fetch head for reading permission denied. Well, interesting. Could not open git fetch head for reading permission denied. You are a collaborator and you merged the code to the main branch.
I did, yeah.
Can you run it again? Oh yeah, I don't know what was there, but we are able to pull the changes from the remote main branch. As you can see, in line 8, we have grid gap 15 pixels. Cool.
Mhm.
We're good now.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Let me take the screen now. So we now know how to delete the branches, and we already know how to clone a repository. All right, that is the last slide for that. Cool. Yeah, so the first way and the second way, as we mentioned already, right? Git init, we already mentioned that after git init, Git will track every change that takes place within that folder. We're good on that. Now go to GitHub and create a new repository. We went through that process already. Remote and local. And how to check if our local repo connected to the remote is git remote -v is our command. All right, git remote, we did already this part already. So git push -u origin main, first time only. Next consecutive pushes, just git push. All right. So this is what we did for the new branch that Janar created. Git push -u origin new branch 1.2. And if she makes some changes again in the same branch, right, and pushes it, then in the next consecutive branches, in next consecutive pushes, she will run just git push. That's it. Right, this is only first time. Cool. Second way is to clone the remote repository. We did it already. Git clone, blah, blah, blah. All right. Additional Git commands. There are 3 ways of cloning and contributing to the remote repository. If it is your own GitHub account and repository, right? If it is your own GitHub account and you have lots of repositories over here, okay? In that case, you can clone, push, and pull directly to the main branch without any issues. All right, without any issues, you can directly push or clone or pull in the main branch without any issues. If it is someone else's remote repository, they can add you as a collaborator to the repo, as I did, as I added Janar as a collaborator. This is the thing that you guys need to do when you guys working in the team projects. All right. The third option is that if it is someone else's remote repository, you can fork the repo and submit pull request when you would like to merge some code into their repository. Okay, this is the third option. Now, when you guys open my repository, this guy right here, right? What we were saying is that you can clone this repository, and whoever owns this Take-Two repo, they can add you as a collaborator in the collaborator section. Okay, they can add you as a collaborator. But the third option is telling us that we have a button called fork. All right. If you are looking at someone else's repository, then you will have an option to fork that repository. When you fork this repository, it will create exact same repository under your name. Okay, it will create exact same repository under your name. Now, when you clone it, you just clone it to your local repository. But when you fork it, you just get a copy of this repository in the GitHub account, your account under your name with the same project name, with the same repo name. You guys can try it out right now. Just go to this link and fork this repository. All right, this part is also tells us who's contributing to this code. Right over here, contributors. Now, if you guys check out a lot of projects in GitHub, there will be like hundreds of contributors over here. Okay, they basically contribute to the code, they write the code, then they push some changes and they create a pull request, and other developers will review the code, and if they approve it, good to go. They can merge to main branch. That's how the process goes. All right, you guys can fork. When you fork it, as I said, it will be the GitHub will create exact same repo name under your own GitHub username. And from there, you can definitely clone it, and you don't have to add yourself as a collaborator. You can definitely clone the project locally and keep working on it. All right. Yeah, if it's your own GitHub account and repository, you can clone and push pull directly, which we saw it already, right? Local environment, main branch, process, git pull, git push. First time pushing is this guy right here. And next consecutive pushes is just git push. If it is someone else's repository, one way to contribute to the project repo is to be added as a collaborator. Okay, we did it already. And the first time Janar tried to push some changes and she was getting this error, right? Permission to blah, 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 denied. So, and then unable to access blah, blah, blah. No permission to push changes unless you are added as a collaborator. All right, as I was saying, if it is someone else's repository, another way to contribute to the project repo is to fork it. Go to someone else's GitHub account and try to fork any of their repository. Once you do that, you will get the copy of the someone else's repository into your GitHub account. The copy includes everything that's related to the repository. Branches, commits, etc. Right? Pay attention to the GitHub accounts. It will be under your username with the same project name. So, how about we take 5 minutes break and come back, guys? Let's take a 5 minutes break. Let's recharge for about 5 minutes and we'll come back and continue.
Okay, yeah. See you.
All right, guys. We can go over this again. All right, so let's go over this again. So this is our, oops. We had 3 options to work on our GitHub repositories. This is my remote repository, and I am the owner, right? And this is my local main repository. I will have option to git pull and git push by myself. No one has access to this repository. I'm the only owner, and I can push my changes from main to main directly. I can do that. If you are working by yourself on your own projects, you can definitely push your changes from main to main, right? But let's say this is my another remote repository, but it is maintained by different developers. Okay, they're cloned the same repository to their local machine. Okay, this one is local 1, which belongs to developer 1, local 2, developer 2, local 3, developer 3. Okay, and every single one of them has to be added as collaborator, list of collaborators. Right, so that they can pull the changes and push the changes. That's the second option. The third option to clone the repository is this one is someone else's repository, someone else's account, someone else's GitHub account. Okay, let's say this is user one's account, and they have a local access from remote branch to local branch. User one's account. Now, instead of doing this, like cloning it directly, what you can do here is fork this, get a copy of this repository to your own GitHub account. That is called forking, right? As I showed to you guys right here, this fork, what it does is it gets the exact same copy under your username. Under your username. So from there, you can, right? From there, you don't need to add yourself collaborator because it's already under your name and you have full control of this remote repository. Right? This one is user 2 local machine. This one is user 1 local machine. Okay, user 2 local machine. And now you have full control of this repository. You can pull or push changes directly without any permission. But since you forgot this guy right here, right? Since you forgot, what if you would like to contribute to this guy's repository? What if you would like to push your changes to this repository? How can you do that? All right. How can you do that is what the process is telling right over here. So git clone, next. All right, so we forked it. Okay. So next, clone the repository by opening the terminal on your computer and running the command git clone, blah, blah, blah. That is my name, under my name. Basically, it's telling right here, git cloning, this guy right here. Right? Once you forked it, you clone this guy over here under your name. Git remote, blah, 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 git checkout, and we create a new branch, right? And then create a new remote for the upstream repo with the command, right? So when we clone it, it's automatically linking this remote branch with local branch, right? With the origin. It's automatically linking it. It is automatically linking like this. Git remote -v. It is automatically linking this origin like this. What this one is telling us is that create a new remote for the upstream repo with the command. Right? When you add git remote at upstream like this, it will be pointing to someone else's. It will be pointing to someone else's repository directly. Okay? It will be pointing to someone else's repository directly. Now, without you contributing over here, if someone else has some sort of update over here in their remote repository, your remote repository will detect that change and it will ask you in the remote repository. It will tell, this guy has some changes, would you like to sync it? And you can say yes and click the button, and this repository under your name will get latest changes from the remote repository that you forked from. Okay? Because at some point, this guy has to be kept in sync, kept updated based on the changes over here, right? Based on the changes over here, this guy needs to be updated. So back into our process over here, making some changes, pushing some changes to the upstream. Now, first we have to add this upstream remote URL into our local machine like this, git remote at upstream. It's not going to be origin. Origin will be pointing to this guy right here, but upstream will be pointing to this guy right here. Okay, locally, origin will be pointing to our own forked branch, but the upstream will be pointing to someone else's. Check connected remote repos locally again with git remote -v command. Next, make some changes and push them to the remote origin you forked remote repo. Yeah, so we make some changes, we add some changes and git status, git add with this command, right? Or git add dot and git commit add a test file, blah, 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 and git push -u origin new branch. Okay, git push -u origin new branch. Now, as we do that, we're basically pushing our changes over here with the new branch, right? And we can create a pull request to merge the branches. All right, so compare and pull request as we saw it already. Yes, able to merge and compare create pull request. We did that already, and we will have an option to merge pull request. Yep, start review. Everything looks good, and review changes. And we are able to merge our change to the main branch. All right, so I think that is enough for Git commands for now. Okay, we can continue in the next class with some resolving some issues in Git. All right, so you guys will encounter a lot of issues when you guys working as a team. What kind of issues? The issues might be like you guys are working in the same project, right? And at some point, this person and this person may end up working in the same file, right? Index.html and index.html. Okay, index.html and index.html. So when they push some changes over here to index HTML, if it gets merged, and when this guy pulls that changes over here locally, Git will ask what changes you would like to keep. Do you want to keep the changes from user 2, or you want to keep the changes from your own index HTML, or you want to keep both changes in the index HTML? Most of the time, you guys need to do to keep both changes in index HTML. What I want you guys to do, let's just separate you guys into groups, all right? Unless you guys have all of the groups in Teams. Let me see. Do we have groups over here? Do you guys know? Do you guys have groups, Teams?
I say I done from my group.
So you guys have groups already?
Yes.
Cool. Who's in which group?
Is no one from my group here, I guess. Yeah.
Oh no.
From my team.
Okay. For practicing purposes. Yeah, so for practicing purposes, I would like to create random groups over here. Right? I would like to create random groups over here. I would say okay, let's create like a do you guys want to be single group, 5 people? I think a couple people left already.
Yeah.
Or you prefer smaller groups? Yeah, let's just create one join group because we don't have that much people. Most of the time, teams are 4 to 5 people in a single team. But today we have less people. Let's just create breakout rooms and open all rooms. All right, so assign to room 1, assign to room 2.